all of that, like that's that just work, push until you get the money, till you reach the goals, until the business is successful. That's what we're being taught in hustle culture. I did hustle culture for 7 years. And when I hit burnout, I realized it's not the life. There has to be balance.
Yeah.
There has to be work balance. There has to be business balance. There has to be balance for yourself. Mm-hmm. My whole life was my business for 7 years. 80% of my life was lashes. 20% was my son. Mm-hmm. 10%, if I got it, was me. Yeah. And once I hit burnout, I learned that I was depressed mentally, like I had the money, right? I was very successful, but my life was very on the edge. There was no balance. My life was okay. I just hit a six day work week, maybe 8 to 10 hours a day, sometimes 12. We got free time. Let's get on the road.
Yeah. Welcome world, welcome family to another episode of the EL2A Podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Gilmore Jr. And to the right of me, we got a very, very special guest. Some people call her a queen, some people call her a god. We got Miss Eugina Lewis, the last god, last queen in the building. How you doing today, Eugina?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you for being here. So I'm excited about it for multiple reasons. Obviously, you know, we came connected with about years time now.
Yeah.
Years time through the legendary Ocala Run Club. Shout out to the Run Club. Eugina actually the content creator for the Run Club. So if you go to Ocala Mims and Ocala Run Club, you go to the page, you see in the content. Eugina's making that, and she's taking bookings too. So if you want to, you know, you're some content creator, you can do that for you.
Definitely not at the moment, but I just love being a part of the group and just supporting any way I can. So I know I'm decent with content, so I was like, I'll help you guys out part time, but I love it.
We appreciate you, and it's growing. So that's a blessing. So even to see that grow, you personally, you've done things in your life that you've seen grow, entrepreneurship, creative business. So I definitely want to get all into that because it's a tough space to be in, and I know that by being in it now, and I know there's a lot of gain that we can get to people from just being entrepreneurships, just growth, purpose, passion, all those different things that we can give. So we're gonna get into that. But stop what you're doing right now. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. All right. So one thing that's really cool about the like, subscribe, and comment, you know what it is, Eugina?
Engagement.
That too, but it's free, right? It's free. It don't cost you nothing to like, subscribe, and comment. All right. So show some love to this episode, and we got a whole bunch of other episodes on this podcast. I mean, on this page that will be pretty informational for you, educational for you, and all those different things. And also July 25th, we'll put the link in the description. We have our summer gala. I'm pretty sure the flyer is popping up on the screen now. July 25th, our summer gala. You got to be in the house. All right. It's the hottest night in the summer. All right. The hottest night in the summer at the Cut Different Summer Gala. Be there, be square. All right. A night of celebrities, success. You should be there as well.
Okay,
a lot of excellence goes on and on at night, so you should be there. But what's up, EL2A family, man? Come invest in the futures that are going to change the world. What you see here right now, man, we are reimagining education, right? We are giving these young boys and showing them who they are and where they're going. We're creating a school-to-career pipeline, and it's happening right here on this property, man. So let's go, EL2A fam. We're going to have a QR code that pops up. You scan that code, all right? And it's going to take you and tell you everything you need to know to come help us invest in the futures that's going to change the world. Let's go. Yeah. To get into it, Eugina, one thing I really want to start this conversation off of. So one thing we do have in common as well, being born and raised here in the 352, coming from this area, one thing we're kind of limited in the things we see, limited in opportunities. A lot of people here, when it comes to job, a lot of people work for the Marion County Public School Systems. If you didn't know that, the MCPS is one of the biggest employers in our county.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people, you know, subscribe to being, which is nothing wrong. We need teachers, we need all those things. But that's more so for me. I feel like that's just something people set out to do because it's there.
Yeah.
For you chose to do entrepreneurship. Where did that come from? And you've done it, and it started a long time ago. So where did that come from?
Honestly, when I was in the 7th grade, my aunt who owns, if you guys ever heard of the Mahogany Review newspaper, it was like, it's all Black, it's catered to the African-American community. It's been around for 30 years. My aunt owns that. She still owns that. She still publishes that here Yes, it was back in the days. It was based in Ocala and Gainesville. So my aunt has always been an entrepreneur. She's kind of like the only one out of the family has been an entrepreneur, and she was the first person who gave me an opportunity to work. So my first job was actually in the 7th grade. So she was just like, if you want to buy your own school clothes, the school clothes that you want to buy, then I'll give you the opportunity to work for me. And in that, I seen her run her business. I helped her run her business, and it just taught me so many things. But at that moment, like, being a business owner was not like the thing for me. It wasn't like I knew then I was going to have a business. It was just like an outlet for me.
Right.
Just growing up, a Christian-based home, very restrictive. So, church and school, that's what it was.
For sure.
And she gave me that outlet. She gave me that, and she exposed me to a lot. So we went to a lot of shows. I met a lot of her other entrepreneur friends. We traveled a lot, and we're still close to this day. She's like kind of like my mentor. Yeah. So as I became an adult, though, I was working at the prison. That was my last job. I was working at the prison as a CEO, and I just wanted something different. So my first business, I love fashion. I love dressing up. So I did like an online boutique. That was my first business. Like, I would go to shows, go to shows, and order things online, got into wholesaling, purchasing so I could put the clothes online. And that did okay. But, working at the prison, you're limited on the time. So I couldn't respond back, couldn't do customer service, couldn't do any of that. And they did just mandatory us for like 12-hour shifts. So I was losing money. As soon as it started growing, I started losing because I wasn't attentive to the clients when they email or when they inbox me. So kind of tabled that a little bit. And like lashes, I don't know, it kind of fell in my lap a little bit because I remember vaguely like sitting in the officer station one day, and it was a chaotic day with the inmates, and I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I was sitting in my office and I just prayed. I was like, God, like, I don't want to do this. I want to do this for the rest of my life. My coworkers talking about they're going to be here for 25 years. Like, they want to retire. They want 401k. I don't want to do this. Yeah. And I remember, like, clear as day, I tell you no lie, like, clear as day, something said, that lash thing you seen on Instagram, you should do it. Wow. And I was like, okay. Just like, I went home and I just started researching. Like, what do I need to do to be a lash artist? And it says you either could be in Florida, a cosmetologist, or an esthetician. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. Started looking up schools.
Dang.
Didn't have no money. I worked at the prison, so like before I would get paid, my account would be in the red. Soon after I would get paid, my account would be in the red.
Let me ask you this. So you about to go into the lashes thing. I want to go back before we get into that.
Okay.
So you talked about your auntie, right?
Yes.
So exposure leads to access. EL2A Pod. This is the name of this podcast. So exposure was a big part of my life. Okay. Me leaving Ocala and being able to see things and coming back to the city allows me to be who I am today. So you actually seeing your auntie being in entrepreneurship and owning her own business, what did that do for you?
The opportunity that I got, or like the extras of being attached to her, was like making my own money in 7th grade. Like, none of my friends, this is 1998. Nobody's doing that. Yeah. So I would order like catalogs. Like, I got access and exposure to online clothing. Like, so I thought it was cool. I got my paycheck. I got a bank account. My auntie made me get a bank account. She made me have a savings account. And she was like, you spend this much on clothes. So I used to order catalogs, deals, all that. Like, the stuff is coming from New York, the stuff is coming from LA. So like, I'm ordering my clothes. Like, I got my money order because credit cards weren't the thing back then. But I like the assets, like that it gave me, the exposure, like the being different. Like, I always wanted to be different as a kid. Yeah. So I think her being in my life and just allowing me to do little things like that as a child, it was just like, I kind of wanted to be different. Like, I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. And I think that is what kind of planted the seed. Me unknowingly was planting the seed of, this is part of your purpose and this is what you're going to do. And then life would water it.
Yeah. When I think about that word, because as I'm thinking about entrepreneurship, that back in that time, that wasn't even a thing. Like, you know what I mean? So she was just doing a business. So because what I'm getting at, now it looks cool. People like, they seek entrepreneurship. At that time, you just were seeing something that seem, I guess, natural to you? How you know, you didn't see your auntie back then and say, oh, she's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You thought that was normal. You get what I'm saying? Did you think that?
I thought it was like, man, auntie cool. Like, auntie know everybody. Auntie going everywhere. Auntie don't got no job.
Yeah, you're right.
Auntie, like, I would see my auntie, and she still has her checkbook, which is crazy. Auntie had this big checkbook. She'd go into Staples, buy her supplies, and, like, people know her. And, like, what stood out the most was how diverse my auntie was. Mm-hmm. So my auntie, she loves teaching about Black culture, but she's so diverse in her business dealings. Like, at the time, her biggest customer, and up until recently, was Publix. Nobody was connected to Publix like that. And I would see the checks come in because I'm like her assistant. So I would see those $500 checks, $600 checks for advertisement in her paper. And then everyone knew her. And she was tied into the school board. Anytime something would happen, she would be there, like, doing her own movement. So I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, but she was different. And it wasn't really accepted like that. And, like, our family, they wasn't pushing it because they didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. They was just like, oh, she's just doing her own thing. Yeah. But when they needed something on the business side of it, or she does taxes as well, she would be the one that everybody in the family would go to get things situated and structured. So I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things like, yeah, maybe I can do it.
Yeah, man. When you think about most people, they try to find a way to make an excuse, in my words, of why they can't do something. So everybody's not blessed to have that auntie, to be able to say, I see that, I want to do it, and I'm going to strive to be like auntie. So they'll say, well, I couldn't do it because I ain't have that. What kind of advice would you give to any person that they in their heart, in their soul, they want more, and they may not have the access to a person like that? What are some ways you think people should, reach out to or do to be able to set themselves free?
That's a good question. I think you should do it. I think you should, just from me, my personal experience, outside of my auntie, nobody supported me. They actually thought I was crazy. Like, I was going to start my own business. Yeah. Why you want to do that? You have a good job with the state. You have benefits. You can retire. But deep down, something was telling me it wasn't enough. And for me, I just feel like that's like your spirit calling. That's the Lord telling you, you're destined for greater. You can do greater, but you just got to do it. Yeah. Like, unafraid. Yeah. Like, mask off, jump straight out of the plane, and just do it.
Yeah. So even when you talk about just doing it, most people are calculate their risk. And just doing it, I'ma still, like, line it up to be in my favor. For you, when I'm thinking about lashes, like, what made you think lashes could turn into a career? Because with lashes, again, you have to educate me. Was lashes even hot back then? Like, now lashes is a thing. Everybody wants lashes. Were people getting lashes back? You said, when did you start?
2015, lashes wasn't a thing. And honestly, that's what made me want to do it. Okay. So, like, back to the story, like, when I was sitting in my office, when I seen the Instagram post, it was a girl in Atlanta, Conceited Ink. I'll never forget it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I was intrigued because here people are used to going to the nail shop for lashes, right? Or they're used to getting individuals and it's hard and the stick, especially in 2015. But the way lashes are done and the way she was doing them, it's a natural enhancement. I was like, oh, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ain't nobody in Ocala doing that. And if you know me, you know I don't like doing what other people do. Yeah. So I was just like, I'm going to do it. Like, ain't nobody doing it. I'm going to be the first to do it. And we going to get this money. Yeah. Like, we got to, I wasn't focused on making it a career. I was focused on not having a negative bank account, taking care of my son, and making more money than what I was making at the prison. Mm-hmm. I had no idea of how, like you, starting a business, like, because that online thing, that's easy. I don't have to deal with people. I'm just ordering clothes. It's faceless. I'm just taking pictures of the clothes or using stock photos, putting it on the website, selling it, shipping it, and boom, I'm done. I don't have to deal with people. But jumping into the beauty industry, that's a service business. Mm-hmm. So it's all people. You're serving at, like, all capacities. Yeah. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for what I have experienced. So that's pretty much where that kind of goes with that.
Yeah. What barriers were you facing? So at that initial moment when you're saying, I'm going to do this, what barriers were in front of your face?
Well, the first barrier was I didn't have the money. Yeah. So, and I remember, again, praying, like, God, like, I ain't got no money. So if this is something that you really want me to do, then you're going to have to stand on that. Mm-hmm. And a week later, I get a cousin. He calls. He said, hey, cuz. I was like, what's up? He was like, have you filed said paperwork?
Yeah.
I said, first of all, why are you asking me that? And he was like, well, I'll tell you what. He was like, if you haven't, we're maxed out on our dependents. So if you want to use the last dependent, when you file said paperwork, you can do that. Just shoot me something. I was like, okay. So I did it. The amount that I got back from filing said paperwork was enough to pay for esthetician school.
Are you doing some criminal work? Why you keep saying paper? What are you saying to me?
Taxes.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically I had a family member that just randomly called me out of the blue a week later after I said that prayer, and he was just like, we can't use our fourth kid. We maxed out.
Gotcha.
Like if you want to use it, just shoot me a little something and we'll be good.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Right on.
And when I did it, it was enough to pay for esthetician school.
Oh, dope.
So I was like, okay, this is a sign and we're moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's just pretty much how that door opened.
So you went, money was a thing. Then you had to go back to school. That's another even layer. So because you got your son at this point. So
I got my son. I'm working 12 hours.
How talk to me.
So basically, I was just like, I was also in the process of trying to buy a house, which I don't know why I was broke and trying to buy a house, but I was. But I used that as an excuse. I went to my boss. I was like, hey, look, trying to buy this house. I need overtime, but I also need every Thursday off for 2 months. And it was like, well, I can't justify giving you every Thursday off, but here's what I can do. You work your overtime, and then for your Thursdays off, you come in on another shift at another unit, and you work, and I'll adjust you off. So mind you, I don't even want to be at work.
Right on.
Now I got to come into work and not get paid for it.
Yeah, that's wild.
But I was willing to do whatever it was because my mind frame was, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. So that was another obstacle that, just like that, I had to believe in myself. Let me take this back. I had to believe in myself enough to be willing to sacrifice coming into work, not getting paid, to be able to go to school, finish, so I can start this said business that I had no experience in and that nobody was doing at the time. No plan, no strategy. I had a business plan. It made no sense. I had no business experience. I didn't know anything about marketing. And I was just like, I'm going to do it. The thing that kept me going was, I'm going to do this. I was tired of being broke.
This sounds like insanity, yo. Because everything
delusional at best.
Nah, everything because you're now we're going on the path to get money, but don't know how to get money. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Like
no structure. I mean, mind you, I watched my auntie run a business, but she didn't teach me nothing about marketing, strategy, business plan, none of that. She was just like, save your money. That's it.
So as you're going through school, so talk about that period because you're still working. Now you happen to work another shift and not getting paid for it. You're in school, you're raising a son. Any time in that moment did you say like, I ain't about to do this, I'm done with this?
Towards the end, I was towards the end of school because school was 6 months. So right around the time, I'm gonna tell you what made me rethink that. I've never been on a plane before. So to get my lash training, the trainer I found was in Colorado. And I was just like, that means I gotta get on a plane and I gotta fly for 6 hours. I've never done that. Plus she was charging $1,000. So I was still working overtime. So I was like, maybe I should keep the $1,000. Maybe this isn't something that I should be doing. But I was like, I'm in school. And, everybody knows my family.
Can't back out now.
The people on my job, because they were determined. They thought I was crazy. They was like, you're gonna do what? And you're gonna give up these benefits? So I also have a I'm gonna show you type of personality. So I was like, man, I'm gonna show them. Crazy, I know. And I went. I prayed the whole flight. The whole flight I prayed. I went out there the whole weekend. It was my first time traveling beyond Georgia. And I seen that exposure, like city life and how culture was different just in the States, like how people move different, how people live different. And I'm in a big city because I stayed downtown. And I was in love. Like I was in love with the downtown and how things was moving. I was like, we doing this. And the crazier part is, this is Delulu at its best, and people supporting my delusion. Soon as I started school, I was looking for places to rent. Mind you, school was 7 months. I had a place locked in, a unit locked in to rent.
Man, you was living in a very delusional mindset.
I was in La La Land. I got online Craigslist, salon suites for rent, found one. Salon Wow, shout out to Sarah and Rolando Sosa for giving me a chance. I called her, I said, hey, look, I have a job. I'm in esthetician school. I want to do eyelash extensions. I have no clientele. But in 6 months, I'll be done with school. I would love to rent your place. Mm-hmm. She said, come in, talk to me and my husband. Yeah. I went in, I talked to them, signed the lease, worked overtime, paid the money. And I think this is what solidified that I was on the right path. She called me one day and she said, hey, I know we have months until you are able to move in, right? She said, but as far as rent, how are you going to take care of that? I really didn't know. Mm-hmm. She said, I have a massage therapist who needs a temporary space. Yeah. She'll pay your rent because she's utilizing the space, and she'll move out when it's time for you to move in. So the rent at the space was taken care of. And after that, all the doubt just went out the window. That's dope. Like, I'm on the right path. Yeah. Like, there's too many signs.
Aligning,
everything's aligning and like coming into place.
Yeah. What do you think? So as I hear you talk, I hear grit, I hear resilience, I hear dog. Like, you have that dog in you, and a lot of people don't. So a lot of people are scared of the unknown. If it looks a little blurry, I'm gonna go back this way. I ain't got time for that. You had enough grit to go through those unknowns, you start realizing when you get in the unknown that things start getting clearer as you navigate those waters. Where did that grit come from? Did you see somebody with that, or how did you adapt to have that thing inside of you?
I think for me, we getting deep. For me, I've seen, like, I was raised by my aunts. A lot of people don't know that. So my dad's sisters, I was raised by independent, strong women. You know, my one aunt, of course, she's an entrepreneur. But they've always taught me just to be strong, like, hold your own, make sure you got yourself. I think a lot of that, not to get too far ahead, a lot of my success comes from my childhood trauma. Like, and I wasn't physically abused or anything like that, but my parents did not raise me, but I knew my parents. Yeah. Like, my dad would pop in and out because his family was raising me. But my mom, I haven't seen her since I was 18 months old. So I learned later in life, going through, therapy, counseling, not to get too far ahead, was my success comes from proving to my parents I was good enough for them to love me and take care of me. So that's where that drive comes from. Because everything I do, I'm passionate about. Yeah. And the reason why I'm passionate about it is because I felt I had something to prove. Yeah. Not to the world, not to myself, but to my parents. If I can just do this, be successful at this, y'all gonna love me.
Yeah. So we'll get into that point, because now you in my lane now, because I walk into these doors every day and I see young people that's facing those same speed. It may not be parents not raising, but there's some type of trauma that's there. And most of them see them as roadblocks. For what I just heard you say, you use your situation as something to catapult you to do them wrong. If you were talking to young people that were dealing with some situation like this, what would you say to them as they're going through their journey and like dealing with what they're dealing with?
Forgiveness, because I didn't come aware of this until 2020 when I went to therapy. This was surface level. Didn't know. I just know whatever I was good at it, right? If I was speaking to someone in my predicament, I would say forgiveness, one, and not for the people who hurt you or like my parents not being like there. Forgiveness, one, is for me. I got to forgive the mistakes that they made, because if I don't forgive them, it holds me back. Yeah. You see, my parents, not my family, they're human. And I learned it was just a cycle, and they didn't know how to break the cycle. So I'm breaking the cycle because I don't want my son to have the same type of situation. If I was talking to someone today, I would tell them, one, I love you. You are loved. And sometimes people not choosing you is nothing that you've done. Is because they don't know how to give you what they need. And that looks like abandonment. That looks like rejection. But God always has a greater plan, because now that I know what I was dealing with through therapy, I'm grateful that my aunties took up the slack. And actually, it was my grandmother. My grandmother was dying of cancer, and my mom asked, could she raise us? And my grandmother said, no, like, bring your kids to Florida. We'll do it. And my family was like, Mom, you're sick. And my grandma said, it's okay. And my aunt that I call Mom, she said, Mama, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And not too long after, my grandmother died. So I never had that relationship because I was 18 months when all of this happened. My parents got a divorce, they split, and then my aunts came in. Those were some strong women. And I think I needed those women for the purpose now. Yeah. So yeah, I would say I love you, and just everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And just forgive them for it.
No, that's powerful. Because as I'm hearing you talk, I think a lot of people need to hear stuff like that, because you see a person.
Yeah.
And you really just don't know. You get what I'm saying? You don't know what makes that person up. And as you're saying these things, and now you're building back the layers to, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes sense to have that grit to, like, I made it thus far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't stop now.
You can't, because it's like, if you dwell on it, it will break you. But basically, when I went through trials in my business, the thing was, man, you've been here before. Yeah. Like you like conquered so many other things that has nothing to do with business, from childhood up and through adulthood. Yeah. Man, use that fire, man. I use that fire, my unknown trauma, I use that fire to build the business that I built. Yeah. Yeah. And all this was unhealed. This was unhealed.
Going through the process.
Yeah, just going through.
Nah, so tell me some of the biggest lessons. Speaking of, building a business, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned, you know what I mean, looking back and building a business from scratch?
There is so many lessons, Jamie. Like, I think one of the biggest lessons would be that rejection, learning how to deal with rejection.
Sure.
So like starting a business in an industry, in the lash industry, right? Nobody knows about lashes at the time when I started it. So I had to not only deal with rejection, but I had to come out of my comfort. I had to get very uncomfortable, because I have a circle of people that know me. And if you know about business, usually those people, they may be on go at the beginning, but when you continue to process it, and keep building, they're not. So I had to basically come into a place where I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm doing it, and being good with people not receiving it. So going back to Mr. Sosa, that opportunity of being in their salon and being their tenant, Mr. Sosa introduced me to CEP. Had no idea what it was. And this was 2015. So he said, I'm going to take you as my guest. You can use my freebie, or you could just use my membership. So Mr. Sosa took me. I get in this room full of people, unfamiliar faces, all entrepreneurs. This is after hours. So you've been to after hours. You know how that crowd is there. Everyone knows everybody. I'm new to this. I'm in the corner. I'm in the back. Mr. Sosa's out. He's doing his thing. And he comes over. He said, you got to come from over here. And I was like, oh, they're talking. I don't want to enter. He was like, no, that's not how this works. He was like, you're going to have to walk up and you're going to have to introduce yourself mid of their conversation. So I started to do that every time I would go to after hours, right? And I had to get the fear of being rejected because people don't know me, and the fear of having an idea that people don't know, because people's like, oh, I never heard of that. Or, oh, you say you sit for 3 hours. Yeah. That was hard. Yeah. That was hard. And it went from, because like we say in memes, keep showing up. I kept showing up. Mr. Sosa stopped coming with me. And I went from walking in the room to interjecting in some conversations to, oh, there's Eugina, to in the end, let me introduce you to my lash lady. Yeah, because I kept showing up, afraid and just not knowing. Yeah. That was hard.
And that's part of my story. It's funny, even speaking about the CEP, when I first got back here and start getting involved in that world or whatever, it was so uncomfortable, because I ain't done this before. And like you say, they don't look like us. And it's a lot of people, they already know each other, and they all hanging out, and it gets tiring. You know what I mean? Because it felt like you had to come and be, you know what I mean? Like,
you have to be something that you're not used to being, but you also have to save face at the same time.
right.
And for me personally, my personal experience, I feel like because I don't look like those faces, I've had to work harder to establish myself in this area. And that in itself is a challenge.
Yeah.
And that is perseverance. And when I look back, I'm like, man, I did that.
Yeah.
Like, not being cocky, but to walk in a place where you're not familiar, you're not accepted. Because I had people laugh in my face, literally. Hi, I'm such and such. What do you do? Oh, I do eyelash extensions. How much you charge? I was so cheap back then. I was charging like $99 for a full set when they were starting at $200 in 2015. I had a girl, lady, at one of those network meetings, literally, oh my God, I would never, like, and to be able to stand firm on that and not go the way I want it to go in response, but say, oh, it's okay. One day I'll get you.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon. I learned that from a businessman. He said, always tell people, I'll see you soon.
So talk about that. You talked about having to work harder. So obviously being a man of color, you being a woman of color. Why do you think you had to work harder than other people?
I think because one, it's not normal or it's not prevalent. There's not many entrepreneurs of color here on a that have reached the surface level. So like in your social friends, yeah, I do hair or I do nails, come sit in my chair type of situation. But lashes forced me to actually go outside of my element because one, it's a luxury service. So it's not an inexpensive service. It's a very expensive service and it's a very time consuming service. And it answers a question. And it answers the questions to women who are on the go to not have to do a full fake of makeup. Or like with my equestrian girls, they don't want to wear makeup because they're in the sun all day, but they want to look nice. They want to look put together. So the demand for that is different. So it forced me to have to shift because people who look like me at that time couldn't afford lashes. It wasn't a luxury for them. Like, I'm going to pay you $100 and I got to come in every 2 weeks and pay like half of that or close to that. So they couldn't afford that because, again, back then, lashes wasn't a thing. Nails was a thing. Nail salon lashes for $35 was a thing, but luxury lash extensions, that wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah, you said luxury. What makes lashes luxury?
So lashes is a very high maintenance service. So like I charge $200 to start and clients pay $125 or $150 every 2 or 3 weeks, but they have to come in every 2 or 3 weeks because it's a natural enhancement. So the way it works is I take a replica of a lash and I put it on the natural lash. So most people don't know that they have like anywhere from 150, 160 lashes per eye. I'm going to place an extension on each one of those lashes, and that's a 2-hour service. How many people do you know have 2 hours out of their day during the week to come and sit and also pay $200 and $125? So it's not like a necessity like maybe hair is to women, but it's one of those things where it makes my life easier and I'm paying for convenience. So that's pretty much how I sell the service. It is a convenient service, but it's a luxury service and it's a natural enhancement as well.
Yeah, so you could tell you practiced that a couple times. So it's like on that. But one thing I did want to, and I kind of went by it, I want to go back to it. One thing you mentioned Mr. Sosa, and I heard you mention him a couple of times. Obviously, we work in the space of mentorship, so mentorship is big for me. I believe having people in your life that can push you forward, that can give you the game, that guidance, attention, motivation, education to help your experience. One thing I say, my goal as a mentor is to help another young man not have to go through what I went through and also give them the game. So at every layer of my life, obviously at the beginning of my life, I had my father. My father has been my longtime mentor. But he was really heavy in the beginning. Then I went to high school. I had a coach, Coach Collins. Then I went to college, my college coach up there. Then I went to grad school, one of my professors. And then I get into this world. I have a gentleman named Mr. Carolock. So in every phase of my life, I had a mentor to help me. I know you mentioned Mr. Sosa, but what other people were key to playing a role in helping you get into where you are today?
So there were so many people along the way. Like, for instance, I was with the Sosas for a while. And then when I ventured off into my own space, it needed to be renovated. And my captain at the time, my boss, shout out to Captain Kelly. I used to call him my work dad. He was good with renovating. Like on the side, he was like a handyman. So when I moved into my new space, I was like, would you be, willing to help me, create a great space for this place that I'm moving in, and I'll pay you. And he said, sure, no problem. I'm proud of you. Like, he always supported me. He called me Hollywood at work. Yeah. He called me Hollywood at work. But he said, Hollywood, I'll support you in anything you do. You're smart, and I know you can do this. And when he came to paint my space and hang up everything and put the furniture together, and I go to pay him, he said, it's on me.
That's dope.
It's on me. And then there were people I met with CEP that gave me opportunities. Shout out to Justin McDonald. I can't even think of everyone because it's been so many people over the course of 10 years that gave me an opportunity. The guy that was here from up north who came and did the Ocala Best of the Best, I called him. I was like, hey, you don't have a category for eyelash extensions. He's like, I don't know what that is. Yeah. I was like, well, I don't do hair.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what? I'll do it. He was like, send me the info. So now Ocala Best of the Best, there's actually a category for eyelash extensions. You're welcome. His name was Dennis, matter of fact, and he was just passing through. There's so many people that I've met along the way that has done small things that just now in hindsight has pushed me forward or put me out there or gave me the exposure or gave me the advice or information that I need as an entrepreneur. And you have to be receptive. I want to say that too, because when I started CEP and I knew other business owners, I was like, man, you got to come down here. And a lot of times because people don't look like them, they don't want to be there. Mm-hmm. But I will say you have to be receptive and you have to be open. Sometimes it's okay to get help outside of your norm, outside of the people that you normally know, outside of the people that normally run around you, because the reality is this, as a business owner in Ocala, especially back then, there weren't too many that looked like us. Mm. So the people that I met in CEP that were further along the way, because I was receptive and open, because that's how I was raised, I had no problem with, hey, let me get your number. I have a question, or DM it. I'm going to slide your DM about business. Like, hey, I see that you're doing this in marketing. Can you help me? That's how Justin McDonald, again, he's into marketing. He was part of YPO. He was like, I think the president at the time. He went and had lunch with me, and I was like, I need help with marketing because I don't know what I'm doing. Sat down with me for a whole hour for free and just gave me game. This is what I would do. This is how I would do it. This is how I would structure it. So you can't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, you was a trailblazer, man. A lot of stuff you're saying, it resonates with me because it was a lot of my journey was that YPO, all those different scenes and things, and been a part of it. But as another question I have for you, coming into the space, there's some things you have to unlearn, right? Because we were raised a certain way.
Yeah.
And you start approaching the business, you start approaching in the way you were raised, and you start noticing things change. For example, things like when people would say, hey, I'm going to do this XYZ, or you, as how I was raised, I expect for you to be a woman or man of your word, and whatever you said you're going to do, I expect it to be done. And I start noticing people weren't keeping their word, and it started really pissing me off. And I would be so like in it, but then I had to start learning, like I had to unlearn that's not how this works. Like people may see you and just say, hey, da-da-da, and just be talking and not really mean it.
Yeah.
What are some things you had to unlearn to be successful?
Ooh. One of the biggest things that I was raised by my aunts is helping everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to be able to help, mentor, and learn. Mm-hmm. But I also understand sometimes in your helping people, and this was the biggest lesson that I learned in expanding my business, everybody can't be saved. That's just bottom line. I had staff farther down. I know we haven't got there yet, but I had a team. My vision was at year 7 of lashing. My vision was 7 is a year of completion. Coming from behind the chair, I am successful. I have a wait list. I had a wait list like 2-3 weeks out, and people are calling. They can't get in. And since I'm coming on 7 years, why throw away that money? Why not bless somebody with the opportunity to learn and grow this business and this industry, right? And we can all make money. That was my mindset. And then once I got a team, I realized, one, I don't want a team.
Yeah.
And two, success, and I even learned this as an educator, success is a mindset. So people come, they pay me to learn, and I give everything in training. I don't believe in gatekeeping anything, because the reality is there's more than enough money for all of us to go around, and somebody has to take the lash clients. I don't want everybody in my chair. And that's just what it is. So why not help other people, build that same momentum, build their own business, build their own brand, whether it's a team or whether it's students. But the reality is everyone does not have the mindset for success. They can pay for a class. You can, like with my staff, I mentored them for free. I was always training them. I was giving them logins to all the trainings I had. Like, this is free game, free information. Like, this will help you and advance your career. They just didn't have it. They didn't have the mindset for success. So what ended up happening is they didn't have the drive, and they didn't have the same vision and passion that I had. It was a hustle to them. It wasn't a hustle to me.
Yeah. So how did you work around resolving? So now you built up a team, and now you realize that this ain't gonna work. So how do you go about resolving or removing? How did you go about all that?
Well, some of them knew they were about to get fired, so they quit. Because even then, I was still trying to save them, giving them opportunities, pulling them in on the side, calling them out in the team conference meeting. I learned from a guy a long time ago, and I wish I would have took his advice. He told me, you shouldn't be afraid to fire anybody. Because I asked him on the treadmill at Zone. I said, hey, you're a business guy. I plan to have a staff one day. I was like, what lesson can you give me? He said, here's the thing. When they mess up money, you fire them. You don't give them chances. You fire them. So that was one of the things. Like, you have to, in business, you have to remove emotion. My lash business was my baby. I was emotionally invested. So when it came to having a team, I held on to dead weight. They were costing me more money than they were bringing in. So I would say, if you have a business, don't be afraid to fire people. It's okay.
So what did all this? So what I hear is a lot of the entrepreneurship, obviously the good side, that allowed you pushed through, but there were some hard times in all of this. When you look back, what do you think entrepreneurship cost you? Like, if you would have stayed on that 9-to-5 path, everything would have been one way. Obviously, you would have had your freedom. But jumping into this thing, what did it cost you?
Time.
Yeah.
So my son he was young. He was 6 or 7 when I started. Because when I started at the prison, he turned 1. So my son was 7 when I jumped into the lash game. And I knew going into this that I would have to work super hard. I knew that I would have to sacrifice a lot of time. And I feel like it took away a lot of time just from us. Like, because it was, our schedule pretty much was, we're up, you go to school, I go to the gym, I'm working 10 to 12 hours. If your dad's not picking you up or your grandma's not picking you up, I'm going to pick you up, but then we're going to eat, and then we're going to get up, and we're going to do it all over again. At that time, my son wasn't into sports. That came later in middle school. So to me, I just felt like, he's young, he's not going to miss me. He'll be good, because by the time I hit year 7, he'll be in middle school and I'll be free. But it didn't work out like that. As he was getting older and becoming a man, even though I was there, I just wish I could get some of that time back. So now I'm like all on him, because he been leave.
So he's out of there. It's over with.
So time and family time and peace.
Yeah. Peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
For sure. So I heard this, the hustle culture thing, and it was taught to push people to, well, first of all, let's not act like people know what it is. Can you explain to me what is hustle culture?
So hustle culture is that grind. You got to get it no matter what. You're going to be 10 toes down. You're going to do whatever. Don't get no sleep. Steve Harvey told us we should never sleep. Like, all of that, like, that's that, just work, push until you get the money, till you reach the goals, until the business is successful. That's what we're being taught in hustle culture. I did hustle culture for 7 years. And when I hit burnout, I realized it's not the life. There has to be balance. There has to be work balance. There has to be business balance. There has to be balance for yourself. My whole life was my business for 7 years. 80% of my life was lashes. 20% was my son. 10%, if I got it, was me. And once I hit burnout, I learned that I was depressed mentally. Like, I had the money, right? I was very successful, but my life was very on the edge. There was no balance. My life was okay. I just hit a 6-day work week, maybe 8 to 10 hours a day, sometimes 12. We got free time. Let's get on the road.
Yeah. Can you be successful any other way? You got to think about it. So even for myself, I'm waking up 4:20 every morning, obviously running, working out, and I'm working. I don't walk into my house till probably about 8 o'clock every night. But that's from 4 o'clock in the morning to 8. I'm like hustling. I'm going. I'm grinding. Can you be successful any other way?
I think yes. I think now in the space that I'm in now, after burnout, after we haven't got there, but after losing everything, investing and then losing, I think as I look back over it, yes, you can. In the beginning, yes, grind, hustle. But the biggest thing, and I think this goes on a lot in our community, the biggest thing is you have to understand when you grow as a business owner, you need a team. You need a team. For 7 years, I was always the whole team. From the service, to the branding, to the marketing, to the education, to building the product line, to building the online training, to building the academy, to everything was Gina. Mm-hmm. Gina did everything. And I think that was good. That served me the first 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I think at that point, I should have at least had an assistant to delegate that. So you can be successful, but I don't think it needs to be 100% hustle culture. Because when you're deprived of sleep, even to this day, I have bad eating habits. I can go all day without eating just because I was working and grinding. If you don't have some type of prayer life, some type of meditation, you'll definitely burn out quick and you'll burn out fast and you won't want to get up. Because I did it 7 years straight.
So it sounds like, so did entrepreneurship give you freedom or did it trap you?
Actually, I became my own employee. I became the boss, but I also became the worker. Mm-hmm. So it didn't per se trap me, but it definitely had me out there on that plantation. Yeah, for sure. I was definitely I had no life. Yeah. I had no life outside of business. Yeah. And the little bit of time I gave, I made sure Jordan had it. That's my son.
Yeah. So them daily deposits is one thing that I don't know. I think it's again, you said the word balance, and finding that obviously is a hard thing to do. But sometimes it's like you just gotta
grind.
You gotta grind. And it's like what else can you tell the person? And I think it's you have to be careful too how you look, because when you tell the person, like when we talk about hustle culture, you talk about maybe, like what's the other option? You know what I mean? That's how I kind of look. Like what's the other? If I don't hustle, it's not just gonna walk to me. You know what I mean? How do I attain what I want?
Well, nobody's coming to save you. Like I totally agree with that. Like nobody was coming to save me. Nobody believed in me, right? But I felt like once I got stable and my foot on the ground. So I say, the first 1-2 years, do what you got to do. 365. If you don't want to eat, don't eat. If you want to make sure, you want to make sure like the business gets off the ground, you want to make sure you plant the seeds. I say the first 1 to 2, maybe 3 years, plant those seeds. But then you need to make sure you get a team that's going to help water those seeds. Yeah. So once you train that team to do that, and a good team, you might have to cycle through the team a little bit. I was afraid to cycle through the team because I was like, I got these people in here. They know how things are operating. I don't know if I want to let them go. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm invested in them, like I'm teaching them. But I feel like once you get to that third year, then look into keep hustling, but make the load easier.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Like you need a team and get a team that believes in the vision. Mm-hmm. Because if the team doesn't believe in the vision, they'll be like, I hate to say it, they'll be like little leeches. They're so needy. They want something and they don't see what you see. So the work ethic is not going to be the same. Mm-hmm. And it's bad when your clients, I can't even be sick. I thought I was going to be sick. I got a team. I thought I could be sick, y'all. I thought I could go on vacation. The client's telling me, I don't want them.
Yeah. So how do you go about that? So as a team, and I definitely love you to touch on that. So when you have a vision, obviously people don't see it like you see it, right?
Yeah.
So because God gave it to you. So they really, it's kind of unfair to expect them to see it how you see it. But when it goes about them coming along, your job is to give it to them the way they need it so they can. You know what I mean? So how did you go about trying to give those individuals the game to see the vision how you see it?
So we had one designated day out of the week where of course, when I hire them, I train them. Even though they're already trained, they're already certified. When they come in, I train them. But one thing that's important in a business, and one thing I made sure I taught my staff, was customer service. Mm-hmm. Customer service outside of the service that you're providing is the key to maintaining clients and retaining clients. So every week we had a day that we would do trainings. And then if anything you needed help with on your Pacific day off and I didn't have a client, we're going to work on it. Like, I had a very big open door. Whatever you need, wherever you need help at, whatever counseling you may need, because again, we're all human. And again, they're women, they're young women, they have young families, they have other issues. So anything that you need, let me be there for you. I also started taking them to because they kind of were a resemblance. Oh, sorry. They were a resemblance of me, mm-hmm. like, and who I was or whatever like that. And I would take them to networking meetings to let them see what's possible for them, mm-hmm. to let them see the opportunities that were available, you know, to them, to get the same exposure that I was able to get versus, okay, I'm going to just get in here and I'm going to just do this and I'm going to just grind until I get clients. I was like, no, let's go out, let's network. And I taught them how to network. We had a whole meeting on when we go to these network meetings, I'm not going to hold your hand. But what I want you to do is I just want you to go up, just like Rolando did to me. Go up and introduce yourself. Hey, my name is Shayla. My name is this. My name is that. Mm-hmm. I work with Eugina. I'm a lash artist. And just have an open conversation, because that's something that is that knowledge, that experience. A lot of people have businesses here, but they don't have that networking experience, mm-hmm. that connection, that collaboration. I just feel like it's very competitive. This is a very competitive market in business. Yeah. So that was something that I felt like was important, like teaching. I was an open book. Mm-hmm. I didn't keep anything.
Yeah, that's dope. One thing I'm big on podcasts. So I watch a lot of podcasts. I'm on YouTube constantly. One of those trendy things that are out there right now is you see a lot of a rise in female bosses, like entrepreneurship, girls that are doing their thing, making some money, CEOs. And I watched a conversation recently when they talked about, like, I guess when it comes to their personal life a little bit, when they talk about, like, guys aren't, I guess, scared to approach them in certain ways and different things. But the question I'm getting to, in the space of being a girl boss, do you have to choose from being, I guess, softness and success, between softness and success, like being that girl or success? You get what I'm saying?
That is a hard topic, and I don't know why we're going here, but we are. Yes, because when you are an entrepreneur and you don't have balance as a woman and you're in the grind culture, we both, male and female, both have masculine and feminine traits in us. But when you're you're in boss life, mm-hmm. you're bossed up, you're that girl, you are hustle culture, you tend to unintentionally become more masculine. Mm-hmm. You tend to, I know for a fact that I have created habits where if it's not done, I'm going to do it. Yeah. You know, and that does affect relationships. Mm-hmm. That does affect dating. And on top of that, outside of those traits, believe it or not, and in this area specifically, boss women ain't getting approached like that. Yeah. Like, no matter how successful you are, no matter how beautiful you may be inside and out, there's something about an independent woman, and I can only speak from this space. It's tough out. It's tough out here for us girls.
It's tough out in the streets.
Yeah, it's tough out. It's tough out here. And I've had guys say, you know, man, you're doing so great. Like, I applaud you, but I don't know if I can measure up. Or somebody was like, you're doing a podcast and you're on the cover of a magazine. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. And it's, girls, it's tough. And it's also tough to find balance in being soft and being feminine when you're running a whole company and you have a whole team. But one thing I have learned personally through therapy and podcasts and understanding, getting over childhood trauma, because that's where a lot of that comes from, is when you're a boss chick, you got to know when to turn the switch off. Yeah. You got to know when you clock out from work, you're soft. Your hands are broke. When you're at work, you do what you need to do. You boss around who you need to boss around. You make sure things are in order. You make sure things are delegated. But girl, when you get off, that goes out of the window. You don't know who that person is until you get back to work in the morning.
Yeah, that's dope. And the reason I asked that because I was just listening to an interview with Pinky Cole with Slutty Vegan.
Yeah.
And similar type of response that you just gave, she gave. So it was really cool to hear you. I just wanted to hear how you would respond to that. I really I was about to go down the rabbit hole of the girl and stuff. I just wanted to.
I've said this before to people, and I've said this on my platforms. Most hyper independent, bossed up chicks, that girl, that comes from childhood trauma. That comes from an absent father. That comes from not having, not all, but majority, especially in our community. That's where that comes from. I didn't have the man in my life. Like, I seen the women in my life who raised me be single. I seen them take charge. I seen them do what needs to be done. So I'm going to be the man that was supposed to be in my life, my dad, my uncles, I'm going to be the man that they weren't. And a lot of that, again, it's unintentional and it's really unknown. And until you go to therapy, you probably may not, or exposed to it like you were on a podcast, you may not even know you're doing it. And that's where I was.
Yeah, even when you're saying that, even to hear you say you as a woman, you have to be the man that doesn't even, you know what I mean? It seems like already that's like, nah.
I don't wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I'm going to be the man. Right. It's just something that
I get what you're saying.
Circumstances, life, conditioning, like we were talking earlier, exposure, especially in our culture. Like, that's what it's rooted in our subconscious. It's not like, you know, I'm waking up, I'm just gonna be that dude. I'm tired of being that dude. You know what I'm saying? And I have to speak I'm speaking for a lot of women in the area that I'm in, a lot of entrepreneurs. It's just something that, unfortunately, it's just in us, unintentionally in us.
I like it. So one question I have before we get to what's next, because I want to talk about what you got going on now. What's one lesson you learned as being a mother that's helped you with entrepreneurship?
I think the question is the other way around.
Entrepreneurship prepared you being a mother.
Entrepreneurship prepared me to be a mom. I do everything for Jordan. Like, my drive outside of, you know, traumas and things like that and wanting more money, I want to make sure we're good. I want to make sure Jordan gets exposure in a life. I'm not saying I had a bad life, but I travel a lot. It afforded me to be able to travel and see the world differently. Once you start catching those flights and different spaces and seeing how people are different and they engage and how they live their lifestyle, I want that for Jordan badly.
For sure.
Badly. So I think entrepreneurship is helping me, just like I said earlier, breaking so many cycles, not just off of my life, but his life. And if he chooses to have children when he's 30, in his life as well. So,
How do you, most young, so my nephew, he sees his dad and his mom are entrepreneurs. So I hear him a lot. Just the other day, they asked him what he wanted to be. I think that was today. He said entrepreneur. It was literally today at a workshop. They asked him what he wanted to be. He said an entrepreneur. When you think about your son, what are your hopes for his future?
My hopes for Jordan, and since he's about to graduate in a couple of years, I tell Jordan, you got two options. College for the experience, or entrepreneurship. I told him entrepreneurship will award you the freedom and the mindset that college may teach you, but I feel like entrepreneurship just teaches, and I've never been to college. Well, I took some classes, business classes, but I had already started my business, so I just was like, why am I here? I let that be an option, but I also tell him you don't have to do that. There's so many ways to be successful, and I just want him to find his purpose.
For sure.
I wanted him to get out of Ocala, graduate, get out of Ocala, and go and find himself. That's most important. Before you become an entrepreneur, before you even, even if you go to college, I think people need to truly find out who they are and what their life purpose is. And I think that will set them up. So for Jordan, sorry, Jordan, I'm name dropping, but for my son, I like to say, son, get out of Ocala and do whatever your heart desires. Do not get caught up in letting the world tell you who you should be. And don't let the world tell you like how you should live your life. Like, what does Jordan want to do? Who does Jordan want to become? Where does Jordan see himself as an adult? And I want you to do that. I'm big on, don't be cliquey. We're not doing cliques. We're leaders. We don't follow packs. We become who we are. And if there's a dream or a desire in your heart, Jordan, no matter what anybody says to you, do it.
For sure.
Do it. I'm very big on that. And I was like, and as far as high school, you won't even know those people in 2-3 years after school. Yeah. So their opinions don't matter. Mm-hmm. I'm big on that. I'm big on not caring what anybody thinks with him.
That's dope. So obviously you reached a point in your life where you're experiencing some pivoting. You're thinking about doing some new things. So one, when do you know it's time to pivot? And two, let's talk about what's next. Like what you getting into next?
Pivoting, that is a strong, I think my time to pivot was a long time ago. I think I have to experience, sometimes when I don't get the clarity, mm-hmm. I have to experience things that are very uncomfortable. So.
Like getting your heart broke? Like when you was crying on that stairway?
So, yeah, it is like a heartbreak. So just to make a long story so very short, 2022, I expanded, had a team, got a 2,200 square foot building and renovated it for a year before I had the team to prepare. And it did not go as planned. I ended up having to move out of the building abruptly because after almost 2 years in it, there was black mold in it. At the same time that was happening was when I had to make the decision to fire my team. I had to abruptly finally move downtown to my storefront, and which I always wanted to be downtown, but my mind space wasn't there. On top of us going into election year and seeing my business being affected for the first time since 2019 financially. So losing 30% to 40% of my income because the uncertainty was so strong in what was going on in the world that I ended up deciding to get not renew my lease downtown and move home. And I was devastated because all of this happened from these rains are everywhere. All of this happened from 2022 all the way to 2024. So hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. And I was devastated. I was depressed. So I went from being just what I felt like on top of the world. Finally got my space, my vision to expand coming true, my product line, my team. All of this is happening. Then realizing I don't really want a team. Then the building that I've spent thousands of dollars in and renovating, beautiful space, black mold, also had just got sold, also had a new owner. And then having to move downtown abruptly, 4 months into that, the economy started to shift. Losing clients that's been with me because they just, I can't afford this. You know, life is going to be the first thing to go. Life is lifing, but my life is still the same. So making the decision of, I think I need to go home. Not wanting to because pride telling me no. And I've always taught my students, you don't need to work from home. This is a luxury service. Don't nobody want to be at your house. Yeah. But then having to eat those words because life was lifing. And being devastated from 2023 to 2024 inside the house. You know, I always joke about I'm out, I'm going to be outside. Yeah. That's because I was literally inside, hidden, going through the motions, working from home, at a loss with everything. Yeah. And I was like, hindsight here today, I'm like, God was just pivoting me. Yeah. But I wouldn't listen. I'm telling God, like, I want a soft life, right? I'm praying for a soft, God, I want a soft life, but I'm signing a 4-year lease to a 2,200 square foot building and renovating and hiring a team. Yeah. How is that being soft? So God was like, okay, you want to be soft? Take everything away from you. Yes, sir. On top of the reputation that I had built for the last 7 years. So pivoting, I think you'll know when it's time. I knew it was time, but I thought holding on to lashes, building a team and letting them make the money. But the reality was, my time was up. It was time to do something different because there was more things I wanted to do. So I feel like when you get to the point where you have done everything in your career, in your business, and the passion and the drive is no longer there, it's time to change things up. Whether it's the same business from a different aspect or whether it's a new business. For me, I think not being afraid, I was afraid to pivot, wanting to pivot, but being afraid and clinging on to that cost me everything. The fear of comfort cost me everything. So now I got a clean slate, right? I'm working from home, was loving it. And I've always done this new venture. I've done it in and out of lashing. Went to California, Vegas, and trained with an instructor from California, celebrity brow instructor, Callie Baker Brow, shout out, in 2017. But lashes always took over. So the comfort of that caused me to lose everything. And now I don't have no choice but to pivot. I'm burnt out. You know, I've lost everything. And I don't have the energy or the compassion for the lash game anymore. So that's where I'm at. Like, my compassion is gone because I've done everything. Not bragging, but it's like, okay, it's time for something new. Because you can't keep beating a dead horse.
I think that's the biggest part of it, though. When you fall out of love with it, that's when you know it's over.
It's over. It's time to leave.
It's time to leave. So now that you're leaving that, you're still, I guess, in the same line of beauty.
Yes.
So now going to the eyebrows, what do you have to do to shift your, I guess, focus or shift your business from one thing to the next? How do you see any difficulty that's going to be in there?
No.
Okay.
Because like I said, I was doing brows before, and I started doing them again. But this time the focus in pivoting, the focus is not lashing. Brows is like my primary and my number one. Just the marketing strategy and the branding and the specialty is different. I feel like from my experience, I know how to get the clients.
Right.
But there's certain things, again, I like doing hard things. Everybody does brows now, but there's a different way to do it, to niche down. I strongly believe to be the best at something, you need to be fully educated, fully experienced. And when you do that, you show up very knowledgeable. That's when everybody trusts you. Like, you build that credibility. And I did that with lashes. So I'm taking what I learned in lashes and just shifting it, which will make it super easy. The only difference is I'm changing the name, I'm changing the strategy, and I'm focusing more on the brows versus focusing on the lashes. For my clients, I'm still doing lashes. My OGs, you're good. But, you know, that's kind of like where I stand, you know, with that.
For sure. So tell me what's one thing that you messed up or think that you didn't do wrong in the lash that you're going to capitalize and make sure you do right when you start this brow thing?
I think I had my hands in too many pieces of the pie with lashing all at one time. So from the service to the online training, to the in-person training, to the product line, to the mentoring, to hiring other artists to come in and teach in the academy. I just was I was all over the place. So one stream of income that I thought was providing multiple, I just was doing too much at one time. And I was working 6 to 7 days a week sometimes, 8 to 10 hour days. In the brow industry, I've learned in my pivot that you need to work less and make more. Lashes take a lot of time. Brows don't. It's still a luxury service, at least what I'm doing. So from brow laminations, learning the art of how to color brows, like people color hair, it's the same thing. Bleaching brows, shaping brows, mapping brows. That's a whole different niche versus you just walking into some place and they're just threading you or they're just waxing you. It's an art to it. So I think with that, being able to minimize the amount of time that I'm with my clients, but still charging the same luxury price, it allows me the time freedom that I want. So I'm working smarter, not harder, working less, but still making more or the same amount of money that I would a full day of lashes.
Business, man. I love it. I could talk about this type of stuff all day.
All day.
All you talking about is strategy right now.
I love business. I love business. If you want to date me, talk business.
See, I knew
No,
it was
I'm
coming.
kidding.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. We're gonna get that sooner or later. If you're looking for something, we were getting there.
But yeah, I love business. But I learned recently, you strategize. My cousin taught me this. Shout out to Team Devil. Love you guys. She taught me versus you having an idea and acting on it. Get the idea, strategize the idea from the end and work your way backwards. Right and that's how you build a brand. Right on. So that is something I would do different in the brow business versus the lash business.
Yeah, branding is big, man. Branding is a big part. Even what we do, obviously, looking at this stage right now, branding is huge. Awareness. It's just a lot that goes into branding. We could spend a whole nother hour talking
all day
talking about business. But I as we wrap, I do want to ask you one question. I want to ask you. So this new season of life, right?
Cool.
That you're going into, if you could put one word to it, what word would it be and why?
One word.
Yeah.
Boom. Can it be two?
Go ahead. I'll give you two.
Soft living.
Okay, talk to me. Why is that?
So I'm at a point in my life, I'm almost 40, and I've been blessed in business, right? But I just want to live a life of ease. Like I love the success. I love the financial freedom. I love all of that. But I want to do it at an easier pace. I'm not into the hustle or grind culture. I'm into just living my life freely, having my time back. And I just want to enjoy my son. He's becoming a young man, but I also want to enjoy my own personal life. So I want to do that soft. I want to get into, you guys know I'm always doing stuff. I'm a creative person. So I'm always coming up with things to do. When you're fully running a business, you can't do that.
For sure.
And one thing about being misplaced or going through or pivoting, one thing I learned is I don't know who I am fully anymore because my whole life was hustle, grind, lashes. So creating a easy life, a softer life. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I've been in the spotlight. Like, thank you for having me. But I don't want to be in the spotlight. That's not of value anymore. My time is. We only get one life, you know, and time is really ticking. So yeah, just living a softer, easier life.
Can you give me an example of that? What that look like? What does a soft life look like for Eugina Lewis?
A soft life looks like going to bed early so I can be up to run at 5 a.m. But also cutting my work life out so I can truly enjoy outings with my mom, like outings with my family, outing with my friend, enjoying holidays, enjoying Christmas. Like I love to read, getting back into that, joining book clubs, traveling. I love traveling, meeting people, things like that. Like I don't like the bougie, flashy stuff, even though people think I do, I don't. I just want just a simple life where I can just do what I want, when I want, and I'm not working my entire life. Yeah.
So you a man, a dog, fence.
And that's what comes with it, God. Hey, you know. But yeah, like just a life of ease, man. Easy living, stress free. I love the peace that pivoting brought. So one thing losing everything brought me was peace.
That's dope. Oh man, I appreciate you. So I appreciate you for being here. I think there was so much game that come from this episode. One thing that stuck out to me throughout this episode, I love the fact that through the beginning of your journey, what happened to you, you used that to catapult you, and you were able to have examples even during what you didn't have. What you had gave you examples of what you needed to be who you are, and that's powerful. A lot of people we would overlook what's right in front of us because we're too busy focused on what we don't have. I don't have my mom, I don't have my dad, but whoever you need, God has them right in front of you, but you too busy worried about the people
always
that chose not to be in your life. So that was powerful. That really hit me hard, you said, and a lot of other stuff, man. So there's a lot of other game, man. So I appreciate you for being here. Now, everybody that's watching, you know what you can do for watching this. Like, subscribe, and comment. All right, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Beautiful episode with Miss Eugina Lewis, the lash god, the lash queen, now the eyebrow god, the eyebrow queen coming soon. So looking forward to that for you and whatever you have next. Summer Gala, July 25th. Make sure y'all be there, be square. It's gonna be the best night of town. The summer is ours, man. If y'all don't know that, the summer is cut different. Get on your Facebook, get on your Instagram. That's all you're gonna see. So the summer is ours. Sorry, Eugina, you can't have the summer. It's ours. All right. But we'll share it with you.
Drink got it.
We'll share it with you. But no. So how I love to end our episodes, I always ask for our guests, man. Just to obviously, we'll do this first. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram, Eugina.Lewis. So that's EUGINA.Lewis, LEWIS.
Yeah, so make sure y'all go subscribe, follow her so you can see what she has coming next. You're going to hit the game hard with the brows. But before you spin, I usually, it's leading me to say women, but I'm gonna make it more broader. Just talk to that person that's on the other side of the camera, right? The person that's wanting to get out of their shell, wanting to do more, wanting to be who God created them to be, but they choose to lean into excuses. They choose to lean into the being fear. They choose to lean into whatever is stopping them from doing what they need to do. What is something you would say to that person that's on the other side of the screen right now?
There's greater in you, and don't be afraid of failure. If you fail at something, that only means you have the guts to do it in the first place.
Yeah, that's dope.
So yeah,
I love it. Anything else you want to share with the people before we spin off? You got everything. I got
everything out. Yeah. Y'all know where to find me. 5 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Men's Run Club. We can talk there.
Yeah. And I see it's a little plug going in, man. Make sure y'all come check out the Run Club. It's another hot thing that's going on in Ocala right now. So, and that's our content creators. But I appreciate you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
See y'all next time.